On today's Two on Your Side Town Hall, answering your mask questions. Now that the CDC has updated some of the guidance on face coverings, especially when you're outdoors.
Plus, we're going to take a few minutes to talk about some big cases going before the U.S. Supreme Court. One about free speech, the other dealing with New York State and gun laws here.
And a little later, you won't want to miss our report on Yelp's newest rankings of the most popular local restaurants. A guest breaks down the best by region right here in Western New York.
And I'm realizing I forgot to eat lunch. Good day, everybody. Thanks for being here with us. First up, the CDC out today with that guidance on when it's safe for vaccinated people to ditch the mask.
And let's be clear off the top here, the science has not changed. Masks still work, but for people who have gotten the vaccine, the experts say there are times outdoors when they can safely remove their face coverings while around others.
Yeah, let's kick things off here with a full explanation on all of this. Alice Barr is on the story for us. Alice?
Michael and Kate, this mask announcement today from the CDC makes clear that life after vaccination offers more possibility and freedom. Top health officials and the president hope that promise of a return to normal will help overcome lingering vaccine hesitancy. After months of recommendations limiting behaviors to slow the spread of COVID-19.
Today, I'm going to tell you some of the things you can do if you are fully vaccinated.
The CDC now advising fully vaccinated people do not need to wear masks outdoors, except for crowded events like a ball game or concert, and that most indoor activities are safe for the fully vaccinated while still wearing masks.
Until more people are vaccinated, and while we still have more than 50,000 cases a day, mask use indoors will provide extra protection.
Cases are now trending downward nationwide, though not in every state. And with the pace of vaccination slowing as variants keep spreading, health officials are urging everyone to roll up their sleeves.
Even when you're talking about variants, indoors, outdoors, get vaccinated and you will certainly have a degree of protection.
President Biden echoing that message today.
Go get vaccinated now.
While pointing to progress against the pandemic in his first 100 days in office.
Cases and deaths are down dramatically from where they were when I took office in January 20th.
The president promising normal life is on the horizon.
Getting together with friends, going to the park for a picnic without needing to mask up.
With vaccines offering the final push to protect yourself and the person standing next to you. President Biden has targeted July 4th for something of a return to normal with safe, small gatherings. He now says he'll announce more steps next week to get to that goal. For the Town Hall, I'm Alice Barr in Washington, Channel 2 News. Michael and Kate, back to you.
Alice, thank you. And we talked with local infectious disease expert Dr. Thomas Russo with UB to get his take on this change from the CDC as well.
Yeah, he says in many ways it really comes down to using some common sense.
We've learned quite a lot about how this virus is spread during this pandemic. And we know that outdoors, the major mode of spread is when you're in close quarters with other individuals. At greater distances, the virus rapidly disperses. So the common sense approach for mask usage, if you're not vaccinated outdoors, is when you're going to be in close proximity to other individuals for a prolonged period of time. The good news is that if you're fully vaccinated, then you have that significant extra layer of protection where you're really unlikely to get infected with this new coronavirus. And so you have the luxury of not using those masks when you're in that same circumstance of close proximity with others.
And Dr. Russo gave us one important caveat. If you are immunocompromised, the vaccine may not provide as much protection to you. And so he says it's a good idea just to have a conversation with your doctor because you may, in some circumstances, need to be more cautious with your mask wearing, even if you're fully vaccinated and outdoors because of that being immunocompromised.
Yeah, some good information there. And we're going to turn now to two cases headed to the Supreme Court that are giving people plenty to talk about. So one involves a New York law on guns, the other a free speech case that could impact schools. So we're going to start with that second one. A Pennsylvania teen kicked off her cheer team after sending a Snapchat message with profanities. Here to talk about this live right now is legal analyst, defense attorney, and constitutional expert Paul Cambria. Paul, thanks for coming back to the show. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Yeah, and perfect guess considering Paul has been before the Supreme Court justices. This incident, Paul, the first one we're talking about here, happened off school grounds, but the school said that the post on social media was still a school violation. Why is this case so important, really, for students, parents, and for everybody?
Well, it's important because we do have somebody off campus at a private place, having a private conversation. In the past, the Supreme Court has said if something happens that substantially disrupts the school atmosphere, then it's not protected by the First Amendment. But that was a case of black armbands during the Vietnam War, and that was the protest, and it was on the school grounds. So here, the real issue is the Supreme Court going to stretch that to all kinds of private conversations that students could have when they're not even at school, and they don't involve threats, they don't involve cheating, they don't involve bullying, they don't involve harassment. If they don't involve those things, then they should be protected by the First Amendment. And so far, the federal court has agreed with her that her speech was protected.
It is a pretty complex case. Any sense of which way the court could go here? And what about social media being a part of this? That's a huge part of what this case is all about.
Well, I think that even though it's social media, I mean, that's just another medium for communicating, if you will. If it isn't threatening, and if it is not cheating, bullying, harassment, anything like that, discrimination, then it's free speech, and they're off campus, and they should be able to do that. And that's what the law is so far. Now the question is going to be, and the school says, well, things are blurred. Some of it's off school education now with Zoom and so on. So the school campus is wider than it used to be, and we should have that. But think about it: if kids can't just have a conversation off campus that doesn't do all of those threatening things and so on, it really should be protected. And I don't think this Supreme Court is going to extend the rules in order to cover that off campus.
Interesting, that case going before the justices tomorrow. Let's talk about this other one that we just learned the Supreme Court is going to take up at some point. It involves New York state law that requires anyone who wants to permit to carry a handgun outside their home to basically show some type of proper cause for carrying it, right? This requirement has been on the books for a long time here in New York State. Walk us through why this is going before the Supreme Court now, Paul.
Well, now the clear question is whether or not the Second Amendment covers somebody outside the home, and as long as they pass background checks and the rest, they don't have to show any special cause. I mean, not every state requires that. There are lots of states that do not. As long as you pass the background check and so on, you don't have to show anything specially to have a gun outside your home. And that's the real issue here. And this is probably the first time in a long time the Supreme Court is actually going to say something definitive about just how much protection there is under the Second Amendment. This is an important case.
Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court just yesterday agreed to hear the case. So how soon could it actually happen? And really, what would those implications be for the entire country, considering there's all these different rules in all these different states?
Well, now you're going to go through the whole briefing process. Then there'll be a summer recess. So I mean, we're not going to have this case argued until next fall. We might not have a decision until 2022. But it's so important because it's really going to focus on the true rights under the Second Amendment. There have been a lot of states that have been all over the place on it. The Supreme Court now has the chance to say the Second Amendment means you can have a gun. As long as you have a good background, you can have a gun. You don't have to show anything special other than you're a citizen and you the temperature.
And we know that the makeup of the Supreme Court obviously has changed a lot over just the past few years, something we'll be following very closely. Paul Cambria is the perfect guest to talk about all these things, constitutional expert and local defense attorney. We appreciate your time, Paul.
Thank you.